This is Satan Hunter Radio. My name is Brian White. I am the Satan Hunter, and it is open season on the demon. This episode is number 1 for the week ending August 6, 2017. The rating for this transmission is G. Even though we are going to get into some dicey subjects, you may have little ones running around, plus my mom could be watching, so I'm going to do my best to hold my tongue. This is a very emotional and passionate topic for myself and for many of you out there. Please pardon the lack of graphics. I have to South Park this for a while, and I was prompted to get this out as soon as possible. I am Brian White. I am the Satan Hunter, and it is open season on the demon. Contact information is www.satanhunter.com, YouTube at Satan Hunter, Facebook, Brian White 11. Lots of videos posted that you could look into. Anonymous tip hotline, 361-215-2496, 361-215-2496. Hotline is for anyone, a child, a spouse, an elderly person, anyone that is being treated in a way that they are uncomfortable with. Doesn't matter how or why. You need to call me right now at 361-215-2496, and whoever that person is, me and that person is going to have a problem. And we're going to solve this issue for you and get you the help that you need. I should probably explain myself to my friends and my teachers and my students on Facebook mostly about why I am calling myself, why is Brian calling himself the Satan Hunter? Well, for the last 10 years, decade, probably longer, I have been involved with what I would say the fluffy and puffy theology. I have grown up in the church. I've been reading my Bible since I was 8 years old. I've had the most godly parents and grandparents one could ever imagine. My mom is an absolute saint. And without my mom, I would simply be in prison, period. My father, on the other hand, as much of the saint that he is, he needed my mother too, and in his own way. My brother, not a malicious bone in his body. What a godly example of a Christian. That goes along with my Aunt Melba, my Aunt Bonnie, my cousin Karen, and my Uncle Bob. My goodness, what godly people, what godly examples. So, I have been blessed with so many godly examples growing up. As I was reading scripture, two things stood out for me. It was healing and it was casting out demons. Jesus said that we would do it. So I asked, and healing, you can't go down to your local church and tell the pastor, hey pastor, I want to learn how to heal people. You just can't do it. Or most likely you can't do it. So I asked Jesus, I said, look, I want you to put in my path the most highly qualified teachers on how to heal. How does this healing thing work? And that is exactly what Jesus did. He did that for many, many years. I have learned from the best of the best. And if you want to read about that, I have put it in my book, and it's called Expectations and Meaning by Brian White, double Y's, because the other guy is a country singer. You can see me at lulu.com. It's 99 cents for the ebook, amazon.com as well. And I don't make any money out of it. I just wanted the information out there. And it is incredible journey about healing. How to heal people. And I have healed people. And in the sense I've also casted out demons. But the New Agers call it negative entity attachments. Not all demon possession is the spinning of the head version. So my urgency on the reason why I'm doing this, okay, so let me go back to why I'm switching. So no more fluff and puff. It is mostly from here on out fire and brimstone. Fire and brimstone was the way my grandfather preached. I never thought I'd be doing this, but this is what Jesus wants, and what God wants, God gets. And the reason why I have a feeling is September 23rd, 2017, and it is Revelation 12. Now, I have plenty of videos on my pages looking at this, and you need to check that out and just get up to date. I will do more information on it later. This is the first transmission. This is my transition transmission. So I'm going to save that maybe for another time, but it's listed if you're interested in it. You need to know. You need to know. Okay. So next up, we have the BS examples of the week, because this is largely about things on this planet that are full of deception. And I can tell you right now that I have 100% confidence that there is something on this planet that is messing with us. That all manipulation at its source on this planet is non-human. You can call them aliens, you can call them reptilians, you can call them demons, you can put whatever label you want on it. We are being messed with, and it is unnecessary. It is an unnecessary being messed with, which is what I think we need to acknowledge. And we need to say, get off my planet. But my BS example for this week is the priests, prophets, and the Bible of the final world religion. We are being set up. The History Channel, it has 24-hour marathons on ancient aliens. God wasn't God, he was an alien. The Ark of the Covenant was an alien artifact. Jesus was an alien, and he was lifted up into a UFO. The angels are aliens, etc., etc., etc. And I'm telling you, we are being set up. We are being set up. I'll get into that later. But let me get into this here. Fake experiences appearing real. Now, until you've had a fake experience, you will think that all your experiences are real. And that's plain and simple. I've had teachers in the past that have said, look, I believe this because I've experienced it. I believe this because I've experienced it, and what I experience is real. Well, until you have a faked experience, you won't question. You won't question your experiences, okay? And I'll give you the perfect example. I was on this bandwagon myself. I said, oh, I experienced it, so it must be real. Okay. So a few years ago, I was in the hospital for a MRSA infection. I went on the operating table the next morning. They gave me something called Dilaudid. Long story short, I thought I was dead. I woke up thinking I was dead. I was convinced I was dead. I was so convinced that I was dead, and that I called my mom in Florida, and I asked her. I asked my mom. I said, "Mom, am I dead?" And she freaks out. She calls my dad, who was on the golf course with the Archdiocese of Orlando, and he drops his golf clubs and calls the nurses station, and he says, "You better get in there because he thinks he's dead." So the nurses come in and they say, "Mr. White, you're not dead." And I said, "I don't believe you. I don't believe you, and I just don't believe it." And she kept on saying, "Mr. White, you're not dead. You're not dead." So then I finally told her, I said, "But don't you remember that Sixth Sense movie with Bruce Willis, and they're all walking around and they're thinking that they're dead?" And as soon as I said that, she cracked a smile, and I said, "Aha, I told you." So that went on for about an hour. The medicine was wearing off. The source of my confusion, the source of my fake experience was wearing off, and I then realized I was not dead. Now, I'm telling you right now, the only reason I believed I was not dead, and I moved from being dead, believing I was dead, to not dead, was because I understood the source of the false experience. I understood the source. Had I not understand the source of my false experience being that medication, I would have still believed that what I was experiencing was real. And I will tell you right now, how do I know that I am not experiencing right now something that's false? And I just can't identify what it is. I mean, we're in this VR, virtual reality technology. You have Elon Musk basically saying, we went from Pong to the Xbox One in such a short period of time. How do we know that we're not just hooked up to a machine and what we're seeing appears to be real? And there's plenty of knowledge in the extra Christian literature that says everything's an illusion, and all I can say is go watch The Matrix. When they asked Keanu Reeves about the Matrix movie, he basically said, you know what, the Matrix was not a movie. The Matrix was a documentary. Okay, so here are the people I'm picking on this week for BS. My buddy Jimmy Church. Jimmy Church has a radio show, and Jimmy Church is part of this new UFO religion group of people, which I kind of follow and I kind of keep up with. He had talked about this underwater Malibu base and is not talking about it anymore. It's just dropped completely off the radar, nothing going on whatsoever. And you know what? You got to say something about it, Jimmy. You got to say something about it. You can't just put things on the radio and then expect us not to keep track of it and not to follow up. Which brings me to my second one. Gaia TV, alien body DNA testing in Peru. Supposedly, Gaia TV bought this alien body and it's in Peru, and it's gone under DNA testing. I haven't heard anything about it since then. You know what? Again, let's not bait people with this stuff and not follow through with it. What happened? My third one is my buddy Jordan Maxwell. Now, I like Jordan Maxwell. I enjoy what he has to say. It's incredible. However, he said he came out publicly and said he was going to be attacking the Vatican and that all this information was going to come out, and then all of a sudden it just dropped off the planet and we haven't heard anything since. And again, don't say stuff if you're not going to do it. Okay. So now I would like to speak to the millennials. My goodness. Oh, I don't know if the millennials know this, but my generation and people that probably are not telling you, you're already being labeled as the lost generation. And I don't find that to be acceptable in any way. Just stick with me and we are going to get through this. And I will do what I can for you millennials, because you have gotten the short end of the stick. Things are not going to be easy for you, and you need to be prepared. And there is a lot of stuff coming up down the pike, which is going to upset a lot of people. I mean, just stay tuned. I'm going to do some more information on it, and we're going to figure this out. A very hot topic right now is reincarnation, especially now with the LGBT community. The whole I feel like a woman in a man's body, I feel like a man in a woman's body. This goes back, this reincarnation might explain this, and you may say to yourself, well, in a past life, I was this gender and now I'm this other gender and I have to figure it out. That may very well be. However, I will offer a different explanation. We all start as females in the womb of your mother. In your mother, we all start as females. This is why men have nipples. Now, if the mother does not get enough hormone, if the mother does not get enough testosterone or estrogen or whatever for that baby, there is a great possibility that the baby will not get what it needs in terms of hormones. And that's just a fact of life. A lot of people blame this on the BPA. The BPA is a hormone inhibitor. So that's why we had this whole BPA thing. Now, reincarnation may be true. I can tell you personally that I remember the conversation with God about coming back. And God said to me, Brian, you can stay here as long as you want. However, your brothers and sisters are down there and they need your help. So that's just me. I can't say that for everybody. And I can also tell you that I've had teachers who have said to me, you used to be this, you used to be that, etc. Some of it feels correct, some of it doesn't. And the other thing is that I've had a spiritual teacher, and her eyes told me that she said, Brian, I see this throne room, and you are getting your mission directives, you are getting all of your directions, instructions from this magnificent throne room. Now, she was a non-Christian, and throne room is a Christian term that she would not understand. So my journey is a very personal one. I am getting direction directly from God's throne room as I have navigated through a essentially non-Christian environment. I'm not knocking the Christian bubble. I think the Christian bubble is great if it's for you. However, for my specific journey, it was not. If you do explore outside of the Christian bubble, you need to make sure that Jesus is with you at any moment. Which brings me to the next topic: deception and lies are auto-leveling. You will be deceived at your own level. I could not convince you to buy the Brooklyn Bridge, but I may be able to convince you of something else, something that will trip you up, something that will cause unnecessary suffering in your life. And this is not the suffering that where you grow. This is the suffering where you don't grow and you're just being tormented with, which goes back to who we're being messed with on this planet. So basically what happened is, we have the original lie. Where does the original lie come from? Well, it comes from Eve in the garden with the serpent. Now, serpent kind of means snake, but we're talking about a snake that's walking and talking. So let's just call it what it is, and let's just call it a reptilian. There is a reptilian in the Garden of Eden talking to Eve, trying to convince her of the original lie. Now, why does the serpent want to convince Eve of the original lie? Because the serpent doesn't need nurturing. The reptile doesn't need nurturing. A lizard doesn't need a mother. A lizard doesn't need a mother. They lay their eggs, they hatch, they move on. They don't need nurturing. As a human, you need nurturing. A baby cannot survive without some kind of interaction with another human. So the reptilian in the garden was simply telling Eve what it believed was true. Period. That's all it is. That was all it is. Now, but because it was reptilian, it didn't need a mother. It doesn't need a mother because it's a reptile, okay? We're not reptiles, we're humans. So Eve obviously believed the original lie. This original lie has been weaved through every single culture for the past thousands of years in 1,000 different ways. And basically it's come into how much of the lie and deception do you believe in practice? Because the truth is so far removed. It's not how much you believe, it's how much of the lie that you believe, because it's everywhere. It is everywhere. And in God's perfect wisdom, He has given us the tools to figure this out, which goes into what I call a journey into truth. Everything starts as false. That is my contention. Everything starts as false. When my mom told me that the stove was hot and that would burn my hand if I touched it and I realized it was hot. I didn't believe her. So I had to experience it for myself. I had to go through pain to experience it for myself. Everything starts out as false, most likely everything. So imagine, if you will, the first person that discovers fire trying to explain fire to the second person. I mean, think about it. If I was number one and you were number two, and I said to you, I rubbed these two sticks together, and this mist came out of the middle, and all of a sudden this light flashed, and it just kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was consuming the stick. You would not believe me unless you saw it for yourself. You wouldn't believe me. So this is what I call density of exposure. How many people have been exposed to our example being fire? A lot of people. Everyone knows about fire. You can't tell me that fire doesn't exist. It's just there. Which leads me to the second component of a journey into truth, legacy of precision. How much precise can we handle fire? Well, fire has been around for so long, we can precisely make something out of fire. We can do anything we want out of fire. That's just where we're at. We may not be there with other things like plasma or space travel, etc., but we are there with our example fire, period. Now, which also brings me to the third component, matrix of awareness. Now, how many people know about fire? Pretty much everybody. We all know about fire. No, fire is not a question, but there's other things that we may question. Chemtrails, Area 51, whatever. This matrix of awareness goes into the theory about the 100th monkey thing where, you get 50 monkeys doing something, and it really takes 100 monkeys to figure something out, and then everyone starts doing it. And they've actually done experiments where, you got a bunch of monkeys doing this on one island, and then they all do it for some reason. There's some kind of consciousness awareness that communicates beyond our understanding, where if 100 monkeys figure out how to open up a coconut a certain way, all the other monkeys figure it out. So that's the matrix of awareness. So 3 components to the journey into truth that you can measure everything by: matrix of awareness, legacy of precision, density of exposure, and that all equals a journey into truth. I will get into more of that later. But now let's move on to who this is really about. And I just want to pose the question, who knows humanity more perfect than any other human? And we're going to introduce my version of symbolism because it's freaking everywhere and I can't stand it anymore. I'll tell you who knows humanity more perfect than any other human. A-hole, pussy, Satan. That's who. Who knows the Bible better than anyone else? You guessed it. A-hole, pussy, Satan. Who knows religion better than anyone else? You guessed it. A-hole, pussy, Satan. I want A-hole, pussy, Satan to get off my planet and leave my brothers and sisters alone. We are not going to stand down, and we are going to stand up, and we are going to eradicate this spirit of us being messed with. And this messing with is very intelligent. I would encourage you to look into something called the Black Knight satellite in our skies. There is documentation that this satellite has been around for thousands of years. It's called the Black Knight satellite, and it has an intelligence all its own. And there is a lot of evidence that says it's not human made. It's ancient. And if you don't believe that we're being messed with, and that I just want you to take a look around. And here's a perfect example. This is who I call the Crazy Eight. Now, somebody has done the work to figure out who owns what on the planet. And someone has figured out that basically 8 wrinkly old white men own more than 50% of the wealth on the planet. And you know why they do it? Because of a-hole pussy Satan. That's who is influencing them. That is who made it possible for them to own 50% of the planet. Again, we are being messed with. We are being messed with. Acknowledge it and let's move on. We have to take care of this. Which brings me to the heroes of the week who are taking care of this. First, we have understandingthethreat.com. Now, I actually forget why I put this in here, but I did. So go to understandingthethreat.com, check it out, and let me know what you think. Our next one is David Carico, ritualabusefree.org. This guy is the guy for satanic ritual abuse. He is the one who started it all many, many years ago. The Lone Ranger of this topic. And he did it when no one else was doing it. And we need to support this person. We need to lift up this person as much as possible because his work is very important. Our next one is Russ Dizdar, shatterthedarkness.com, theblackawakening.com, also at lulu.com. He was a Coast to Coast guest, and Coast to Coast has a very large Christian audience. Coast to Coast George Norrie is incredible. Highly recommended. All the experts in every single field you can imagine. Very, very intelligent, not crazy. Russ will tell you how to get rid of demons. He will help. He has a workbook for law enforcement. He has a workbook for the average person, and he is just absolutely incredible. Now, this guy also, we have John Pounders. YouTube is Now You See Me TV, NowYouSeeTV.org. Facebook, Now You See TV. He has done the documentary Dark Covenant, and I'm telling you, you need to watch Dark Covenant to really see what's going on. These people are embedded in our society. They are the people that we trust in our society. They are doctors, they are lawyers, they are your supermarket butcher. You can read into that one. Supermarket butchers. And that's as far as I'll go there. They are police officers. Unfortunately, they are, I'm telling you, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. You got to wake up. You got to see what's going on. And these people are real. This is documented. And I'm telling you, you just need to see this. Now, which brings me to the best of the best. This guy is awesome. His name is William Schnobelin. I probably didn't pronounce that right, but he is a 90-degree Freemason, a Catholic priest, Illuminati member, and a satanic priest that has come to Jesus Christ. He was in the Mormon Church as well. And he is at withoneaccord.org. That's www.withoneaccord.org. And I am just going to give you a sample of what he has revealed. Probably the most important thing that he's revealed. And this is to all the Freemasons that are out there thinking that they are doing what they should be doing. Well, guess what? According to this guy, and I drew on this because this is actually take two. So, according to this guy, the Washington Monument is what you're worshiping. This image is what you're really worshiping. That's the reason why they wear an apron. They wear an apron to cover it. And you know what? This is what you're worshiping. This is what you're ultimately worshiping. Stop it. It's stupid. I'm telling you, I don't care how much time you've invested in it. Get out, get out, get out. Why? Because of this guy. This guy is at the top. This guy speaks out at the top. And you know what? This is what he said. All you dudes are worshiping as a Freemason. So you know what? Get out. Just get out. Just stop it. Now, my forever heroes, of course, is, well, and just say it. You know what? This is what's happening. You're worshiping this. You know why? You know who ultimately is pushing all this? A-hole, pussy, Satan. That's who. Okay. So my forever heroes are law enforcement, military, and the veterans. Now, I know a lot of my friends are of the fluff and puff and positive flower power, and I will tell them that there is a beautiful monastery outside of San Francisco called Odeon, and it is incredible. And you know what? That incredible place where people go to meditate for hours upon hours and do all their inner work. You know what? That place is now a target from that porky pig in North Korea who's got missiles pointed at it. And you know what? Nothing's going to stop this guy unless we get violent. Nothing. And so, these people who believe that there shouldn't be any guns, there shouldn't be any tanks, there shouldn't be any missiles, there shouldn't be any helicopters, you know what? This is what's happening. Your practice of nonviolence is being defended by somebody who you may never know, who is willing to go and commit violence to protect your existence of nonviolence. You're being protected. That place is being protected. That place is being protected and defended by an anonymous person who doesn't know, who you don't even know, that is defending your way of life. And that is why we need people who are willing to sacrifice their lives for you to practice nonviolence. And that's just it. That is just the way things are. And again, I'm going to go back to September 23rd, 2017, Revelation 12. We need to study that. So now let's just talk about, why is God needed? Why do I need God in my life? Because our nature needs nurture. We're not reptilians. We need nurturing. We need someone to tell us, hey, this is what is going on. This is the truth. This is what the future is going to be for you. What kind of creator would we have if he didn't tell us what was going on? What kind of creator would that be? So how do I know? How do I know, right? How do I know? Well, who is God? God is the creator. You are living in your creator's creation. That's who you are. And there is a solution for your condition. There's a solution for your condition. And then you get into, well, how do I know that what God I'm talking about is the true God? Well, I have an answer for you. This goes back to ancient Egypt. This goes back to Egypt. There was a pharaoh called Akhenaten. Akhenaten was the very first one to embrace the idea of an omnipresent God. He most likely was prompted by the prime creator to do this. Akhenaten went against everything in his culture. He promoted a monotheistic God, and everybody freaked out. Mostly it was the priesthood, because they made money off of everyone worshiping gods with a little g, that was, maybe fire, the god of fire, throw the virgin in the volcano type of stuff. So basically what happened was everyone freaked out. They tried to erase Akhenaten from the planet. They tried to erase what he was doing. And even today, you'll see that they've discovered where they try to chip away at what he was doing. Physically chip away in the walls. You can see them erasing it. But that did not stop Akhenaten. It went underground. Even though Egypt went back to what they were worshiping, the Akhenaten way went underground, and there was a person in the Pharaoh's household that was a Hebrew, and his name was Moses. Most likely, Moses was trained in the Akhenaten monotheistic way. This is why you have Moses challenging the Pharaoh. You ask, why was Moses challenging the Pharaoh? Well, Moses was challenging the Pharaoh because he essentially was a student of Akhenaten. And you know the story, 40 years in the desert, blah, blah, blah. Now we have Moses, who wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah, and we have our base story. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because we don't understand the cross until you understand the Jewish culture. It's like, what the heck is this with the cross and the blood? I don't get it. What is this sacrifice? What is going on? And you know what? This goes back to, why Jesus? Why should I believe in Jesus? What's the point? What's the point in believing in Jesus? The reason why is because Jesus is the truth that claims to be the truth. This is not going down the cereal aisle and picking out your favorite cereal in the spiritual section. Okay? Jesus is a totally different thing. And we have just a few things. Did Jesus warn us and tell us what we should be doing? Absolutely. Did Jesus tell us about the future? And what is the truth? Absolutely. Did Jesus say he was just another man? He is not another man. He is not a prophet. He is not an enlightened teacher. He is not a Buddha. He is what is standing in the gap between you and God. That's who he is. And you have to understand the Jewish sacrificing to understand why the cross is so important. If you don't understand the Jewish thing about this, you won't understand the cross. So if you need information on that, let me know, and I will help you. But what I want to do is I want to show you exactly what Jesus said was important. Okay? And this goes back to why everything is important right now. And Matthew 24, we have Jesus telling us, then if anyone says to you, look, Here is the Christ, or there do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will rise, and great signs and wonders will deceive, if possible, even the elect. Who are the elect? The elect are the believing Christians. The elect are the people who have accepted God or accepted Jesus as their Savior. And he says, see, I have told you beforehand. And you know what? This is freaking aliens. And I'll tell you why. At the bottom here, I have written down Werner von Braun. He is the father of NASA. He is a German from Operation Paperclip from the Nazis. He was coming over from the Nazi Germany after the war, and he told his secretary, Carol Rosen, it was a secretary of an alien invasion, and it was going to happen after the terrorists. After we battled terrorists, we are going to have an alien invasion. It's going to be fake. It's not going to be real. And this goes back to Albert Pike. Albert Pike talked about this. He was a Freemason as well. This is what's coming down the pike. This is why I'm transmitting this. This is why I feel that it's important, because believe me, when I read this when I was a kid, I was like, what the heck? But I'm telling you right now, I can see it coming. And I'm telling you, look into September 23rd, 2017, Revelation 12. I have videos posted that talk about this, and it will open your eyes. So, if you haven't accepted Jesus as your personal Savior, I would highly recommend that you do it. It is very simple. You simply invite Jesus into your heart. And this is the difference between thinking with your head and thinking with your heart. Jesus comes into your heart. He takes residence into your heart. The Holy Spirit takes residence into your heart. And we are told that everyone who has accepted Christ as their Savior, realize, first you have to realize, well, why do I need to be saved? Well, you have to come to that conclusion. You have to say, why do I need to be saved? You have to be convinced that I need to be saved. And that goes back to your condition. You're a human. You need nurturing. You need answers. And what kind of creator would it be if he didn't give you answers? So, invite Jesus into your heart. Invite Jesus. I have never heard anyone tell me that, hey, Brian, I invited Jesus into my heart and nothing happened. I tried it. It was boring. Nothing happened. I'm telling you, that just simply doesn't work. That doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. So you may reject church. You may have been involved in church and you say, look, I don't like these people. I can't stand it. But I'm telling you, Jesus is a totally different story. Having a personal experience with Jesus is a totally different story. Look, I have seen Jesus. I have been on Mount Shasta. I was on Mount Shasta for 40 days. I saw Jesus twice. Not only did I see Jesus, but non-Christians around me saw Jesus as well. So it was a shared experience. So this is going to make sense to you. As soon as you do it, I have been able to witness to a lot of New Age people, and I have been able to witness to bring people to Jesus in the New Age. And if you need information, let me know, because that is what I have done. I have witnessed to the New Agers about Jesus, and that's just the path that I took. Okay, so I hope you've benefited from this transmission, and now I'm just going to give you some final suggestions, and here we go. Turn off the TV, stop drinking, get rid of the coffee. I'm guilty of this myself. Stop the smoking, stop the marijuana. My goodness, people, the marijuana, I'm telling you, if you're under 24 years old, your brain is not developed. Your potential is not developed. Stay away from it as much as possible. When I was a kid, I had Nancy Reagan on TV telling me to get off drugs, and I never, ever tried it. Never. And because I knew, I saw people that did it, and they became stupid. I'm telling you, they became stupid. They weren't stupid before, but man, I tell you, when they started smoking that marijuana, they became stupid. So I'm telling you, if you're under 24 years old, your brain has not fully developed. Get rid of the alcohol, get rid of the drinking. Do not limit your potential, please. Now, the other thing is that the sex. And the only thing I have to say about sex is that previous generations, meaning my grandparents and my parents, sex was not a recreational sport, okay? I mean, my goodness, what the heck is going on? It's just not a recreational sport. I'm telling you, it's just not a recreational sport. Now, the other thing is that, which I just read this morning in the Atlantic, we have people that are not having sex anymore. We have kids that are not having sex anymore, which is good, but it's also weird. So I'm telling you, all these kids that are staring at their iPhones and staring at the screens, you got to limit it. You got to stop it. Stop the smartphone addiction. Somehow, some way, you kids have got to get off this thing. I know it's addictive, but just please get off it. So I hope you've benefited from this transmission. Please look into September 23rd, 2017. It has all about to do with Revelation 12. If you, let's see here. Again, my contact information is www.satanhunter.com, YouTube, Satan Hunter, Facebook, Brian White 11, anonymous tip hotline. We know why we need this. 361-215-2496. You call me right now if anything is inappropriate happening to you. Period. This has been Satan Hunter Radio for the week August 6, 2017. Eyes open, no fear. I love you all, and I hope that you have benefited from this transmission. We have a lot of things coming up, and I will be preparing more information soon. Thank you. I love you all.